So the Bulls kicked off their NBA Cup tonight against the Cleveland Cavaliers in search of their first NBA Cup win, rebranded from the in-season NBA tournament last year. Last season, they got swept in all of those matchups, and that was really at a low point of the season for the Bulls when they started off the year going 5-15. Tonight came into this game, actually played pretty well considering they went up against the undefeated Cavs on the road. Fell behind early, but quickly got themselves back into the game. It was a back and forth battle throughout the second half where the Bulls eventually reclaimed the lead, but the Bulls, with untimely mistakes down the stretch, could not close out this game and were unable to hand the Cavs their first loss of the season. This is what I really don't like about the NBA Cup and the rules, by the way, how teams are incentivized to win games by as many points as possible to bolster their group stage standings. You look at the final score of the game and you think the Bulls got beat down, when in reality, this was still very much a ball game with less than 3 minutes to play. There was actually that critical mistake where the Bulls stole the ball. There was a quick outlet pass to Kobe and Zach, out and open in the front. No one was in front of them, but the ball went right in between them and neither of them came to the ball. It was like they both assumed the other one was going to go after it. Getting an easy 2 would have brought the lead down to 4, but instead the Cavs get the ball back and would hit a 3 on the other end, bringing the lead up to 9. And with about 2 minutes left to play, the Bulls never really recovered from that. But yeah, those final minutes, Billy subbed his starters out of the final minute or so when it was clear that this wasn't a game they were going to win. Cavs left their guys in and ballooned the lead up to 18 by hitting some quick threes. So yeah, this score was not indicative of what we saw in this game. This was actually a much more closely contested, hard-fought matchup, and there were great things to take away from this one, and some not so great. But I'll start with the good though. One, the Bulls have continued their hot three-point shooting. That's what brought them back into this game when they were down by more than 20 points. They continue to push the pace, they play fast, they move the ball well. Another game where the Bulls had 30 plus assists, which has become a common trend now for the Bulls to put up with those kind of passing numbers, whereas last season, it was a rare sight to see the Bulls as a team get more than 30 assists. They got up 42 threes in this game and made 20 of them, 47% from deep. And get this, I saw this stat from Casey Johnson, the Bulls already have 3 games this season where they've made 20 or more threes on the year. The most they've ever had in their franchise history in an entire season where they've hit more than 20 threes is 4 games. Yeah, safe to say the change in shot profile that we've been wanting to see from the Bulls is here to stay. The other thing I like seeing in this game, Patrick Williams, yet again, another solid outing. I said this before, but it's very encouraging of a sign to see Pat looking more and more comfortable and confident out there. With all of the guards being in foul trouble tonight, and Giddey, Kobe, and Ayo, Pat was taking on some of the point guard duties in this game, which we know he played in high school. And he was pretty solid at managing the offense. For someone we were ripping into for his terrible ball handling to start the year, has since regained control, looked more comfortable with the ball in his hands, and creating his own shot. Last game, he put up 18. Tonight, he put up 17 on 5 for 7 shooting, 4 for 5 from 3. Give Pat credit for his consistent three-point shooting, man. Say what you will about this guy, but he's always been reliable as an outside shooter to give you 40+% shooting from deep. But the big one for Pat tonight, 9 assists, a career high for him. Both him and Zach actually had 9 assists. Surprising when you see Giddey just having 1. I'll get back to him in a little bit. But also a very solid night for Patrick Williams defensively. Just need to keep seeing this. Need to keep seeing this progression from game to game. And then Kobe White, another strong showing for him. He struggled with his shooting against the Knicks, but tonight he hit 6 threes, went 6 for 11 from deep, 8 for 15 overall from the floor, 29 points, got to the foul line a lot, which I feel like isn't being talked about enough, with Kobe's increased ability to get to the foul line. One of the bigger question marks about his offense was his ability to create contact and score at that level. He's been doing it. He's been doing it consistently and shooting it well from the line. And the other thing I like seeing, how about Matas Buzelis? Didn't see that many minutes, but looks like he's figuring out that three-point shot. Went 3 for 3 from outside. The biggest question mark for him as a draft prospect was his streaky outside shooting, so good to see that shot finally going down. Now for the bad, and got to start with Josh Giddey. Now granted, he did get in foul trouble early in this game, which limited his minutes, ends up only playing 15 minutes for the entire game, but part of the reason he was getting in foul trouble was because of his lazy defense. Guys were blowing by him and he was just swiping at them after getting beat, creating a foul. Giddey's defense, which we all know isn't good, was atrocious though in this game. And every minute he was on the court, the Cavs just attacked Giddey. Garland and Donovan Mitchell were going at him. Billy Donovan opted to start Ayo in the second half. Now, he said that was because Josh Giddey was in foul trouble, had 3 fouls, as did Kobe, but this was more so because Giddey was just a liability on the defensive end in this game. And while normally that's the case, he makes up for it to an extent on offense. Not tonight though. 5 points, went 2 for 9, and for the 4th straight game, it's worth noting that Donovan did not have Giddey out there in the closing lineup. Like, it becomes a story when it's starting to become commonplace that Donovan isn't trusting Josh Giddey in those big moments. And the reason this is a big deal is because the Bulls, meaning the front office, pursued this guy heavily and used their most valuable trade asset to get him, while also not getting anything additional in that trade deal. AK and Mark Eversley viewed Giddey as their franchise cornerstone in this new youth movement, their point guard for the future, and early returns have been very mixed. Giddey has had some nice moments, his three-point shooting has improved, but so far he's not looking like a guy you should be shelling out a big contract to as your point guard for the future. Now, I will give Giddey credit for having the self-awareness and accountability for his poor play tonight. He did say post-game to the media that if he was Billy, he wouldn't have played him either, as he was bad on both ends of the floor. I think the biggest thing for me is over the last couple of games, Josh Giddey's confidence is starting to look a little more shot. He's looking like he was a bit last season with everything hanging over his head. And that's not something you want to see from a guy you just made a big investment in moving your biggest trade chip for. You need him to be engaged, energized, motivated. He just looks a little bit dejected out there right now. And then also something that was not so great, not a great game for Zach LaVine when he had one of his best games of the season against the Knicks. Just 8 points, 4 for 16 from the floor. He did have 9 assists though, like I mentioned, so he was contributing in other ways, but hate to see a shooting night like that from Zach after he was so efficient the other night at Madison Square Garden. Oh, I didn't talk about Vucevic actually on the good things from this game, because Vuce was actually great. Yet again, keep that trade value up, Vuce. 25 points, 11 for 16, 2 for 4 from 3, 8 rebounds. He started looking a little gassed by the end of the game, was missing some easy buckets inside, but overall, a great game for Vucevic. Probably helped that Evan Mobley wasn't in this game tonight for the Cavs, but so far this season, Vucevic has been the most reliable and consistent player on the Bulls that they've been able to rely upon. But anyway, disappointing loss, but it was against one of the best teams in the league. Oh, side note, and not a great update at all, Lonzo Ball, who was initially expected to make a possible return tonight, could now actually miss up to another 6 weeks, this according to Casey Johnson. I hate the Bulls medical staff, man. Like, no other team would you see a player go from making a possible return in a game, everything is going okay, to just kidding, he might actually be out for another 2 to 6 weeks. Like, what are we doing here? I mean, we always knew this season for Lonzo was going to be sort of up in the air and how much he would in fact be able to play. But sheesh, man, talk about just the worst injury luck for this guy after coming back being out for 2.5 years. But anyway, thought I would share that for anyone who potentially missed it, but the Bulls are off until Sunday before they take on the Houston Rockets. As always, guys, be sure to subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.